In this video, let's talk about the power of positivity. As we empower ourselves, we find ourselves transforming negativity into positivity. We find ourselves letting go of the negative and experiencing more of the positive. We find ourselves focus less on the negative and focus more on the positive. And this is what really empowerment is in essence. It's that shift from the negative forces to the positive powers. It's a shift from force to power. It's a shift from negative to positive. So there's huge positive powers. And we've been discussing those powers in this series of videos. But let's focus on the positivity. Because when we focus on the negativity, we create more negative. We experience more negative. Because like we talked about in the power of focus, is whatever we focus on, that's what we see. And whatever we're seeing in our life, that's what we're experiencing. So when we're focusing on the negativity, we're experiencing the negativity more. When we're focusing on our weaknesses, which is more of a negative, if I focus on my weaknesses, then I'm just reminding myself of these weaknesses. And it doesn't, no really good is coming from that. But there's also strengths. I also have strengths that I'm also neglecting or not looking at. So if by shifting to the positive and seeing what are my strengths instead of what are my weaknesses, of course I need to be conscious of those weaknesses, but I don't want to focus on them. Why not focus on the strengths? Why not become conscious of my weaknesses and my strengths? Most of us, we focus so much on our weaknesses, and then we're just trying to improve our weaknesses. When in fact we have God-given talents and gifts and strengths that we're not even focusing on. We're not even aware of them. So when we become aware of these, why don't we focus on these talents, these strengths, these gifts, all the positive? Because whatever we focus on becomes bigger. So the weaknesses become bigger weaknesses. The strengths become bigger strengths. And this is when we're starting to shift from the negative to the positive. We can create more of that positivity in our life the more we focus on the positivity. We discussed this in the video, The Power of Gratitude. When we focus on what's actually here, the positive, the good in my life, then I don't focus on the bad. It's a shift in focus. Now I see the good. Now I'm thankful. I'm grateful for the good. I'm grateful for what I have. Likewise, when I can shift my thoughts, the negative thinking to more positive thinking, I can experience more positive thoughts instead of the negative thoughts. And in the victimization, the victim state of consciousness, the victim mentality that most people in the world experience, there's too many negative thoughts. There's too many negative thoughts, the negative self-talk that we indulge in. We indulge in this negativity. And this negativity is destructive. It's destructive to our life. Negativity is destructive. Positivity is creative. How can we build something with negative? Negativity doesn't create anything. It just creates more negativity. And positivity creates more positivity. So the power of positivity is this shift from the negative to the positive. And it's to become aware when we're indulging in this. And it happens so easily that we would just be around a group of friends, and then quickly you can feel the energy just kind of drop because there's this gossip about someone who's not even there, and it's just all negative slander and just negative. And we have to see this, become aware that this is a program, that we've been programmed this through our media and news and schooling to just focus on all the problems, all the negative problems. Why not the positivity? If we focus on problems, all we see is problems. Therefore, all we experience is problems. If we focus on the positivity, then we don't experience nearly as many problems. But we have to make sure that we don't become attached to the positivity. We want the negativity. We don't want to become attached to the negativity. Many of us are attached to the negativity, so we have to free ourselves to become non-attached to the negativity, to free ourselves from the negativity. But as we become free of the negativity, we also have to make sure that we don't attach to the positivity as well. Because then what happens is then we start resisting the negativity. And we'll experience both. Life is a play of the negative forces and the positive powers. It's a play of both. But if we become so attached to the positivity and we don't want to experience the negativity anymore and we resist it, well, whatever resists persists. Then that's also a limitation. It's also a limitation of our freedom because we're attaching to something. And it can continue these states of just being in delusion, rejecting some of the bad things that are happening in our life, that we try and escape the bad things and run to the positive, trying to ignore the bad things and just wanting to run away to the positive. We want to try and block out the negative and just hold on to the positive. So you can see this is it's a fine balance. It's a fine balance. That's why it's best to just be open and allow the negative and allow the positive. To be unattached to both. Because when you're okay with both, then you're beyond the negative and positive. You're experiencing the totality, the wholeness, and that's beyond the pain and the pleasure. But as we talk about empowerment, we really need to look at the negative things that we're holding on to and become aware of our negative conversations, our negative self-talk, our negative consumption of negative energy. Because if I become more aware of the negativity that I'm consuming, the negativity that I'm engaging in, the negativity within me, then I can start freeing myself from it. I can start letting go of that. And that's really what empowerment is. It's that letting go of those lower negative feelings, emotions, thoughts, experiences, memories, beliefs, concepts, ideas, judgments, criticisms, assumptions, conclusions, all those things that I'm holding on to that are not serving me. So they're not supporting life. To serve me is the support. When you're serving others, you're supporting life. So it's to let go of everything that's not serving you, that's not supporting you, because that's what negativity is. It's destructive. It's destructive to life. It doesn't support life. Empowerment is everything that supports life. And the positivity supports life. So it's the letting go of everything that doesn't serve us. Watching the news filled with negativity, out of 10 news reports, 9 of them are negative, that doesn't serve me. If that's all I watch is the news, 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, and that thing's just on in the background, I'm just consuming negativity. And therefore, that's what I'm focusing on. And that's what I'm going to see. And that's what I'm going to experience. And that's what I'm attached to. And then I start thinking that that's the only thing here is negativity. And then I'm blinded to all the positivity. And it's this attachment to the negativity that really makes our life so tragic. So much of a misery, so much suffering. Most people want a better life, but they're holding on to all the negative. If we let go of the negative life, we experience that life is just, it's great. It's wonderful. So if life doesn't have that feeling that it's wonderful, we need to start becoming aware of what we're holding on to that is more negative. Because anything that's negative is a limitation. Negativity feels like it contracts you and it weighs you down and it's dark and it's heavy. Positivity is the complete opposite. It expands you. It makes you feel lighter. You feel weightless. And as we become more and more empowered, we start experiencing those feelings, those states of higher consciousness. We talked about this in other videos, the power of responsibility, the power of courage, and these can help us make that shift from the negative forces to everything higher, which is power. And right there in the middle is that responsibility, is that courage. When we accept that responsibility, we take that responsibility and we have the courage, then everything above it, we start experiencing those more positive states of consciousness. So if you're experiencing a lot of negativity, then start looking within, start looking at where's that negativity in you? Because in the negative states of consciousness, we tend to project that negativity outward. So we're holding on to the negativity. The negativity is within us, and we're just projecting that onto other people. So we say that this person's negative, that person's negative, this situation's negative. But really we're not seeing, we're not clear enough to see that's the negativity that we're holding on to. We're holding on to our resentment. We're holding on to our guilt. We're holding on to blame. We're holding on to our shame. We're holding on to our jealousy. We're holding on to greed. We're holding on to pride. We're holding on to these desires. All these things we're holding on to. And the more we see it and the more we let go of that, then we just naturally rise up and experience more of the positivity. Because we're very buoyant like that. All the negativity is like weights. And as if we're like underwater and we're drowning underwater. Most people say well, maybe not most people. Some people in life, they say they have this feeling that they're drowning. Yeah, but what's weighing us down? What's holding us down underwater? We're holding on to a bunch of weights. If we just simply let go of those weights, we just float to the top. But we can't be holding on to the negativity and complaining that we're not experiencing the good, the positivity. It's a little bit of a paradox, counterproductive. We're holding on to the negativity, and at the same time, we're complaining that we don't experience positivity. Simply just let go of the negativity. But it requires us to become more aware of that positivity. requires us to become aware of what's not really serving us, supporting us in our life. Because the closer you look at the negativity, you realize that there's nothing really good that comes from it. It's the negativity that gives the energy to the ego, and the ego feeds off of that negativity. It is the negativity. It feeds off of it. That's why when people get together, they really love the gossip. They love the negative. They want to talk about negative events. They want to talk about why there's not enough money, or why there's not enough this, or why, all the negative stuff. So then you become aware, the conversations that you're happening, how positive are they? The thoughts that you're having, how positive are they? The content that you're consuming, how positive is it? A lot of the positive content isn't really positive content. But it requires us to become more aware of that, because then we have to see what we're attached to. We're continuing to go back to the negativity, and we're getting sick. Positivity it supports life. It supports our well-being. Everything below that barrier there, that transition from negative to positive, below positivity, is destructive to our well-being. So as we become more aware of that negativity and see that what we're holding on to, then naturally we can find ourselves experiencing more of a positive life. And this is the power of positivity.